I started working with artists who weren't famous at the time, and then we all came up together. They started getting into the industry, and my music went with them. Started traveling and went on this awesome journey with music, and I was having a lot of great success in terms of the charts and all of these things. And um, but then along the way, I got a diagnosis of cancer. I think of my meditation as well as an awareness practice. So it's like instead of thinking, oh, I failed, instead of looking at it as oh, I'm not doing good at meditation, I'm failing, I look at that as, wow, that's one rep, you caught it. You're practicing, you're strengthening your awareness.
And the sum of all possible subjective perspectives is what we are, right? So the one divides itself into all of us so that it can get all of the subjective perspectives through our unique eyes of conditioning bias to gain more and more wisdom and learn more about love and how to receive love.
And being a cancer survivor, when I started going through all of these, healing, everyone started sharing with me different ways of healing and different modalities, from science, from spirituality, from east, from west. People started sharing with me all of these different ideas, but the things that really stuck and resonated were related to sound and frequency.
Maejor, my brother.
Yes,
so good to see you.
Sir, let's go.
It's been a minute. It was great to have you come visit the office a while back, but it's been a while since we've sat down together to talk about, all things in Maejor's world. And for those of you that don't know my good friend here, he is a producer, a musician, he's a songwriter in every sense of the words. He's a poet and probably didn't even know it. And he's had several big hits, some that you would know under his name, and then some that you might know that have been sung by other people that have become very, very famous over the last couple decades or so. And but most importantly to me, he's a good friend of mine. And it's great to see you. And another thing that he does that's near and dear to my heart is he's become a real champion of being thoughtful and intentional about frequencies, and in particular, which frequencies we listen to, and how 432 hertz can have an impact on us, and all these different frequencies. 444 as well is another one that he's definitely done a lot of work in, and I'd love to talk about that and kind of hear a little bit about your story, how you got to where you are right now. How did you become music producer extraordinaire?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, so much synchronicities, right? Our story started on a synchronicity meeting on a bus in Peru, was it, right? When I
Yep.
met you, but
yep. I'm going back to Peru in October, by the way.
Oh wow,
I'm going back to Peru in October, and my last trip there was with you. And yeah, we just totally hit it off like right away. You were sitting in front of me, I think, on the bus, and you're talking about 432 hertz. You're like, well, I'm not sure about the geometry of it. And I go, oh, what a surprise. I mean, what a coincidence. I have a paper right here.
Man, that was
just on
such
the
a
geometry
beautiful
of
moment.
432.
Yeah, for those that don't know, we went with a group called Resonant Science Foundation, and this ties into the question you asked about the story. So I got on this journey of sound healing, but I'll give you first how I got into music. So when I was a kid, just maybe in high school, one of my friends brought a CD to school, and I was living in Detroit, Michigan, far away from any music industry. No one in my family or anything like that was doing music, so I never thought of music as something that was possible. That may have well been like an alien on TV or something, like seeing people in the studio, all the buttons. So I never thought about music, but a friend brought a CD to school, and he said that he made that, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. Just really started liking it, and through social media and networks and stuff, got into the music industry, which was cool. I started working with artists who weren't famous at the time, and then we all came up together. They started getting into the industry, and my music went with them. Started traveling and went on this awesome journey with music, and I was having a lot of great success in terms of the charts and all of these things. And but then along the way, I got a diagnosis of cancer. So, in being a cancer survivor, when I started going through all of these, healing, everyone started sharing with me different ways of healing and different modalities, from science, from spirituality, from east, from west. People started sharing with me all of these different ideas, but the things that really stuck and resonated were related to sound and frequency because it was already so deep in music, but the way that people were looking at it, in the, more science, medicine, spiritual, therapeutic community was much different than how guys were looking at it in the music industry kind of studio setting. So ended up seeking out groups like the Resident Science and people who were interested in these things and started really going on a deep dive. And you were, yeah, there at the beginning of the journey. One of the people, like you said, you had the paper. Just one of the people who was really I first saw really applying geometry and connecting that to music and math and in a real way. So now that was a really cool moment that brought us together, and then we've had so much synchronicity through the time. But yeah, that's how it all started.
Hi, I'm Robert Edward Grant. I invite you to explore my transformative books, Philomath and Polymath, each designed to expand your understanding of the world and ourselves. In Philomath, which means lover of learning, discover how mathematics weaves together physics, music, and prime number theory, revealing the universe's interconnected nature. It's more than a book, it's an enlightening voyage. Polymath builds on Philomath's insights, exploring the genius of thinkers like Pythagoras and Da Vinci, who used geometry to revolutionize science, art, and governance. Rediscover the polymathic roots that sparked past ages of enlightenment. Join me on this journey as well. Visit robertedwardgrant.com to get your copies today. Let's foster a new era of enlightenment and collaboration for a brighter future.
It's so crazy that it all started out that way. And I also wanted to let you know that my next season of Codex, which is my show on Gaia, is actually going to feature some of my latest work, which is, I've not even shared this part of it with you because it's evolving so rapidly, which is that actually, the Egyptians and the Arabs, as well as the Indians, originally used 24-note scales. So instead of a 12-note scale that would be a semitone scale, they had quarter tone scales. So when you see a lot of these wheels in Egypt, they have a wheel and there's always like 24 partitions of the wheel, right? Looks like little thin pizza slices. And the spokes, right? There are 24 spokes. What's fascinating about this is that when I did this analysis on Giza Plateau, I looked at, from the aerial view of Giza, I looked at the Great Pyramid, and I already knew that the relationship of the Great Pyramid was all related to 432. That was a fundamental aspect of it. They had a unit of measure that we now call the long cubit, that it's 432 long cubits for the base width of the Great Pyramid. But when you take and look at the aerial view of Giza, so you take the northeast corner of the Great Pyramid and the southwest corner of the smallest pyramid, Menkaure, it creates a very large rectangle, right, of the Giza Plateau. You've probably seen this rectangle before. So you just take a rectangle around the northeast corner of the Great Pyramid and then the southwest corner of the smallest Menkaure pyramid. And this rectangle has a proportion, and that proportion is equivalent to 432 over 528.
Wow.
What's interesting about that, it's the same as 11 over 9 also, so it reduces to that. But what's interesting about it is that that was the first hint that I got that maybe 528 is also related to 432 into one scale. And so what you have is you've got Ida, right, and Pingala. Ida is 432 and Pingala is 528. Now, if you make a 12-note scale and you use the C note for 528 and you use a 12-note scale for 432, then those two scales happen to fit perfectly inside each other, like two snakes going like this, around each other.
And I've heard those words before, Inga Pingala. What does that mean? Or what is that related to?
You've got the Ida, or the Ida, as you probably heard of it. It's related to the Kundalini life force. And then you've got the Shushumna, So you got the feminine and you got the masculine, divine feminine, divine masculine, and each of them is a different serpent that goes up the spine, and the spine is the Shushumna.
Sounds like the symbol, the medicine symbol that they have.
That's exactly what it is. That you're precisely right. That is the caduceus, right? It's the caduceus. And what's fascinating about this, though, is, and if I can maybe possibly I'll pull it up for you so you can see the depiction of it with a 24 note scale.
Medicine.
528. Yeah, music is medicine. Absolutely. 528 is part of the 432 scale that is a 24 note scale.
Right.
So it fit perfectly inside it. It's like one scale.
Wow. The Egyptians were tapped in.
This is it's a trip, right? Because then you start going, wait a minute, okay, this is like pretty profound. And I actually believe that the Shushumna will actually fit at 444. So the Shushumna so what we're really talking about is going to 12-strand DNA.
Wow.
Right? 12 and 24 strand DNA. So the center, like pillar down the center, I believe, and I've not finished all of this work yet, but I do know that 528 and 432 have this relationship. But I believe the Shushumna will have the relationship to 444 as well.
Wow. I love that you're constantly pushing forward the thought and expansion behind the connection of these ideas in a way that very few people ever, look at or try to make those connections. So it's important that we, what you do in looking at it that way and connecting it helps advance the next thoughts and the next thoughts, and it's how we, it goes back to what was Tesla's quote, which to understand the secrets of the universe in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Frequency and vibration.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and this is all related to how our DNA actually matches up as well. So DNA is a dodecahedral stacking array that looks like dodecahedrons that have pentagonal sides, right? So 12 pentagonal sides, you stack them on top of each other, that creates double-strand DNA, just based on the stellations or protrusions on the geometry as you stack those going around, right? And I'll show you how this works in just a moment. But basically, this is the relationship that comes out of this. That's pretty, it's pretty amazing because it's fundamentally embedded right within our DNA, and the dual solid, which would just be to take the center point of each of the dodecahedral sides, and then connect those center points of each dodecahedral side. Then you have an icosahedron. The icosahedron is the water, right, cluster. And it relates to, this rising of the feminine, because the feminine is also water.
So to reverse engineer that, if we were just like conceptually, not exactly like application wise, but if we were to just think conceptually, if you're finding a connection between music and the strands of DNA, would there be what way could we use frequency of vibration and, to somehow work in our benefit and affecting our DNA? Like what kind of system conceptually could we come up with, like with that kind of information?
Well, I think we're already doing it with 432 Hertz music. I think we're also doing it with 528. It's just people were thinking that those two, because they're like two groups. They're like, oh no, the healing frequency is 432. Then the other group would say, no, it's 528 Hertz. I get all these great benefits with 528, which I'm sure you've heard that, right? And then the solfeggio frequencies that are basically within that scale. So I believe that all three are correct. It's like, if I looked at show you this, I said, okay, this is, what am I holding? And I've got a shadow cast on the wall behind me. You could say, oh, you're holding a square, right? Without any other knowledge.
Right.
If it's straight on your vision, you'd think I'm just holding a square. But if you looked at it from the other side, you'd say, no, it's a long rectangle.
Yeah.
And so the people that perceive the rectangle, that would just be sitting on the other side of me, they would be arguing with the people that perceive the square.
What's the perception?
The truth is, right, this is the elongated rectangular cube form, right? And that just requires the higher perception or the higher dimensional awareness to be able to know that both are correct and both are just missing the higher knowledge. Right?
Oh yeah, and I
So
think
like
that's what's happening a
528,
lot in Earth, right? One
that's
person's
what's
looking from
happening a
that
lot,
side,
dude.
one person's looking from that side. They're arguing. It's a square. It's a rectangle. See, so how do we get to that higher perspective to see it in that way you said? What? How do we do that?
First, you just have to simply become aware of it.
Awareness. Yeah,
Awareness,
I love
when
that.
we live in a sort of a matrix of our own minds, awareness becomes the answer to everything.
Awareness is so good.
And as soon as you become aware of something, you can literally fix and correct it.
I agree. I love. I think of my meditation as well as an awareness practice. So it's like instead of thinking, "Oh, I failed," when my attention has gone away from, say it's my breath, and then thinking, instead of when I catch, oh, my attention's gone off, instead of looking at it as oh, I'm not doing good at meditation, I'm failing, I look at that as, wow, that's one rep, you caught it, you're practicing, you're strengthening your awareness. So now throughout the day, I'm more aware of what of the thoughts and that, and then you're right, naturally a lot of healing and resolution comes with just awareness, like you said.
Absolutely. No, that's absolutely the case. So, it's just really fascinating how much we can correct with things by just having that extra awareness of what is coming into view. And it's not that it has to be one against the other. They're actually complementary one with another. And,
Absolutely.
that just changes everything, because you can start looking at the world in total terms of polarity, or you can start looking at it in terms of oneness. And I think the truth is that it's oneness,
Yeah,
right? That's what's
unity.
really happening.
So if we can dissolve the illusion of separation, sounds like what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That
I
is
like that.
exactly
I
right.
like that, and that's why I like music as well, because a lot of things are barriers: language, age, sex, race. All of these different things can be potential barriers, but music is something that just goes like, yeah, everyone can connect, and it goes to the soul, and it can remind us. A lot of art, not just in music, a lot of art or experiences or emotions can really help us to just remember that we're all connected in that oneness.
Absolutely. So let me just show you this real quick. So I think this will be an interesting place to kick off from. And I know I've been wanting to share this stuff with you, and I literally just hadn't thought about it. But here we go. On a 24-note scale, we can depict this as two snakes of Hermetic wisdom. These two snakes, one starting with 432 hertz, the other connecting to 528 hertz, both creating 12-note chromatic scales that perfectly intertwine one with another to create one universal experience. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, wow. It's literally, that's the symbol, right? That's the symbol they use for
That is
medicine.
exactly the symbol. Precisely
And what's
right.
that connection
And
with medicine and Kundalini? Like, why was that adopted into the medical
because I
world?
think they understood, the ancients understood that this is the way to true healing, is by activating transcending duality, getting out of this idea of seeing one or the other, and realizing that the truth is yes and.
Not yes,
It's
but
not an
yes,
or
and yeah,
world that we're
yeah,
living in.
yeah, yeah.
And I think that's where the realization comes in a very powerful way. And so here's another view that you could see of the way this dodecahedral stacking array works as well.
Here we go. This is the animation.
See the dodecahedron, you just take the center points, you stack those dodecahedron on top of each other, that becomes double strand DNA. It literally forms double strand DNA, but there is no such thing as the dodecahedron without the icosahedron as well. So those protrusions create each of the strands of DNA that basically form off of that. So you take the center points, now you've got more protrusions, and so then you've got 24 strand DNA.
Wow.
It's all literally just part of the realization that there can be no dodecahedron, which represents spirit and ether, without the water as well, the holy water.
Wow. Wow. Waves, frequency, energy, it's all connected.
It's all connected. It is all connected. So I'm pretty convinced that 444 is going to be in there as well. That all these things that we think are literally, it's got to be this is right and this is wrong, is actually, no, they're all just fragments of a higher truth.
Fragments of a higher truth. I love that. I saw this idea, and it was talking about how that not one system holds all the truth, and not all the truth is in one, like, and there's truth in every system or something like that. I think it's really cool.
It's beautiful because you start thinking about it, it's like everything I thought I was learning as facts were merely facets. It's not FACT, but rather FACET.
They forgot the E.
Facets of a larger prism of truth. And the only thing that would be objective truth, because it's literally the only way you could get the whole truth would be to have the sum of all possible subjective perspectives.
Right.
And the sum of all possible subjective perspectives is what we are, right? So the one divides itself into all of us so that it can get all of the subjective perspectives through our unique eyes of conditioning bias to gain more and more wisdom and learn more about love and how to receive love.
Wow. Well, we can just end it here now. I mean, like, we just gave the real message right there. That's it. That's the real, like, that's it right there.
So you spread so much love in your music and everything. And how has that made you feel to be able to have such a big impact on like a world stage?
Oh man, I mean, every time I see a video of a family connecting with my music, or friends talk about a memory, or people talk about how this was, I see people with it at their weddings. I see, like, it's just so, like, so beautiful. It makes me so grateful, really, just to know that, things that I've been a part of have been a soundtrack really to people's lives. I don't take it. There's so much music people can listen to. So when people are choosing to listen to music that we've worked on, or I've had a hand in, or I sang or wrote or produced, it's just like, it's amazing. The other day, like, I was outside. There's a school a couple blocks from where I was recording, and I was on the rooftop just chilling, trying to write something, and I hear one of the songs I made with Martin Garrix. I hear one of the songs blasting. And I thought they were playing it from inside the studio. So I went in, and I'm like, I go downstairs. There's no one playing music in the studio. I go outside. It's the playground from the school, and the kids are blasting the song in there. And I look over, and they're like running around and having fun. And I'm just like, wow, this is so cool that this is a part of the timeline of their experience in this realm, and that they are enjoying it, and it's adding good vibes for them. And, even just if they can just have a moment to laugh, or, even some of the songs that are not so, like, having such a deep, dark meaning or anything, just even if someone can laugh and have joy and dance with their friends and family, then, yeah, it's the best feeling. It's such a rewarding feeling. And feel like the best stuff we're going to make is even yet to come. That'll have a really unifying effect.
Well, I do know that my daughter is a huge fan of yours.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, when you come over to the house, she's like always just like so starstruck. It's really hilarious. And they listen to your stuff all the time. And it's funny because actually yesterday, I think that song you're talking about, the one you did with Martin Garrix, was Susie ended up posting it. It's pretty funny.
That's so cool.
So
Area 21.
So I'm sure it's probably because you were.
That concept is we're two aliens from outer space.
Yep.
My sister told me to ask you. I don't know if you could keep this in if you want or not. She told me to ask you if you have any connection to the Arcturian, that she had that vibe for some reason.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
definitely.
my God,
definitely. Oh, we lost your sound.
A few moments later.
There you go. Okay, so go ahead and say you said
That was,
right
you know
after you
what was
said
happening? My sister was calling me. Dude, that was crazy synchronicity. That's why I went mute. My
That's
sister was
crazy.
just calling me. Literally, that's why I went
Yo,
mute. She was calling in. I was telling, she had
whoa,
told
dude,
me,
that's crazy
does
stuff.
Robert have any connections with Arcturians? She's huge into aliens and she knows all the different species and this. And she said something about you and
Uh-huh.
Arcturians and to ask you if you've had any communication or
Yeah.
you're connected or anything like that.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I've talked about it publicly, but in 2018, when I discovered the Alpha Omega on the rim of the sarcophagus in the Great Pyramid, and you've been with me to Egypt, the night after I discovered it, I was in the King's Chamber by myself. I'd taken, I took a night in the Great Pyramid all by myself, and I spent about 5.5 hours in the sarcophagus. And while I was laying in there, I was breathing this particular way where it was like I was resonating in the chamber, like, and then in between breaths, while you take a breath, the chamber still resonates. So it still goes wah, 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 wah. It's like an engine starts. And then your body gets in this cycle. And while I was laying in there, I looked up at the ceiling. I was doing this. I looked up at the ceiling and there was a flower of life in the ceiling that was like colorful. And it had 8 petals, not 6. And it opened up and then I could see stars behind it. So there's a hole in the ceiling about that big and I could see the stars outside after that. And then next thing I know, I'm like looking down at my body and I'm out of my body and 2 Arcturian guides took me on a tour of the galaxy.
Oh,
that lasted for about 5 hours.
wow. How'd you know they were Arcturians? It just, you knew? Or did they say it? Or how'd you know?
They told me.
Wow.
Oh, look, 444.
444. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Let's go. Yes. There we go. There we go. Yeah. No, that was insane. The fact that I was asking you that and she just buzzed in, I'm like, oh no, there's some energy there. Yeah. No, that's cool, man. That's really cool. I really so the concept of Area 21 is we're 2
Oh, yeah.
aliens sent from outer space and we've been sent here by the Galactic Council. We think we crashed into a satellite and smashed into Earth. But every other planet we go to, like the species are super evolved and they're helping each other and they're like on another level. And then the Galactic Council sent us here to use music and sound and frequency to help unite Earth. But we think we
It
hit a
sounds like
satellite.
what you've probably actually really done.
And we get here on Earth and we're like, what's
Yo,
going on here?
what's up with this,
We're like,
man?
wow,
What a trip this place
this
is.
place is
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, this is the first time we've seen a lot of things, borders. First time we've seen, a lot of things that are only
Yeah.
happening here. Yeah, we're like, what is he? Where is this, man? This is crazy.
I know. Wow, that is a trip. Well, yeah, no, I've had a very, very deep connection with Arcturians
Wow,
who present themselves as just future humans. They're us in the future.
wow,
They're transcendent of time.
that is
So they're
so
like
cool.
5th and 6th dimensional. They're born in 5th and they go to 6th. So yeah, like literally I've had like tons of experiences. My first experience was when I was 11 years old with Arcturians.
Wow, wow. So this is like not new. Oh wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, definitely not new. In fact, they told me that before I came here, I was Arcturian. That was the thing.
Oh
And that
wow.
I worked on their mothership.
Oh no,
I was stationed on the mothership Athena, which is, the Arcturian mothership that has a symbol. Guess what the symbol is on the side of the
what's it?
mothership Athena?
What is it?
Alpha Chi Omega.
Oh my Yo, that's crazy. My head is like No, I love it, man. It's all holographic, right? In that way, like
It's all holographic.
everything
Yeah.
connects, man. I love that. I love that, man. Wow.
Well, we have to come down, for the Arcturians that are born 5th dimension, they can go to the 6th dimension. That means they're totally transcending time. but they can't go to the 7th dimension unless they have to do a tour of duty for like 13,000 years here on Earth. That basically is like you got to come back to the 3rd and 4th dimension to go back to the 7th, to go up to the 7th.
Wow. How many are there? Are there unlimited, infinite dimensions?
It's like the scale of, it's like an octave. You know, you could say it's 24. It's like musical notes. Each one is a different musical note.
Like the torus kind of loops back around infinity type.
Yep, it's like a Mobius strip on a torus. Same thing.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I like that, man. I like that. That's far
What a
out,
trip!
man.
Your sister called you right at that moment.
No, she's gonna love that, man. It's actually her birthday, so this is like a synchronistic moment. I'm gonna call her as soon as we get off. But no, that's cool, man.
Wow. Well, tell her I said happy birthday.
Absolutely, brother. No, but thank you for having me on here. Is there anything else, anything you want me to share about, or any ideas or any questions
tell me
you think?
I'd love to hear. You've been kind of one of the few people that I know that has kind of ventured out. You know, I've spoken to the Vatican and stuff like that, right? And I get some flack for doing it because people are like, well, that's the evil empire type of thing, right?
Yeah.
But you've been able to go to like Davos.
Yeah.
And, and hear all the stuff on the 2030 agenda and all the stuff related to that. And I know that gets a lot of shade thrown on it by a lot of people in the spiritual community. But just like everything else, I've just been talking about 432 and 528. It's just different perspectives. And so the problem is when we get stuck into one position. The best part about life is realizing that the more I learn, the less I actually know.
Oh yeah. I completely agree. And yeah, related to that kind of thing, yeah, for sure. There were some people who have like a negative reaction to certain events or certain places or going. But one of the things I think about with that is there was the time when Jesus they asked him about that because he was with some people who I think they were tax collectors and different people who they were like, yo, why is Jesus with these guys? This is not. And He said, is the doctor not here to heal the sick, not the healed. So, even if someone really thinks that some place is really evil and negative, then they should want those people to be lifted up and healed, and so someone who's willing to go to those places. Like I had an aunt who would be like, she was a super like an evangelist, and she would go to the dangerous parts of the town and talk to those people. And it's not for everyone. Should necessarily do that, and it's not necessarily you have to be prepared and know the right thing. But I think that it's a respectable thing to do, and every person it's like a symphony. Every person has a unique note to play. And your note's not going to be the same as my note, and might not play that note the whole time, the whole song. Sometimes we play this one, sometimes we play this one, but everybody has to reach someone. So I think that whatever place that you're put in at that moment is where you're supposed to be and where you're supposed to shine and show your light and show your show your love and share that. So if you end up in a spot, wherever it is, I think just lead with love, and then you're going to be in the best spot you could be.
Did you know that there's a new love affair with mathematics and geometry happening all around the world today? People who once despised these subjects in high school are now finding they're falling in love with them. Do you know why? Because math without meaning is simply information, whereas math with meaning is divine communication. My courses, The Etymology of Number and The Language of Light, guide you on a journey of self-discovery, sharpening your problem solving and pattern perceiving, as well as analytical and creative thinking, and unlocking your fullest polymathic potential. And most importantly, acquainting you with the mathematical language of the universe itself. You will never see the U inverse the same again. To get started, I recommend The Etymology of Number, a 4-part series that explores the evolution of numbers and their impact on fields like physics, chemistry, music, and art. It is the embodiment of Leonardo da Vinci's encouragement to study the science of art and the art of science. Learn how to see. Realize that everything connects to everything else. My second course series, The Language of Light, is a 6-part series that builds on concepts from the first course and offers deeper insights into unified sciences, ancient wisdom, spirituality, and their relevance to today. My courses are always fun and easy to understand. They intertwine mathematics, music, art, and consciousness, and illuminate the mathematical connections that span all disciplines of science and art. Register for these 2 courses, Etymology of Number and The Language of Light, at robertedwardgrant.com under the Courses tab. And join the Robert Edward Grant community chat on Orion Messenger for lively, engaging, and innovative discourse.
Very well said. So, what's the one piece of advice you would give to people here on this podcast to kind of be able to experience a more beautiful life?
Yeah, the 2 things I would say right away is gratitude. So make it even just simple. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It can be, I'm grateful I can move my arm. I'm grateful that I can breathe. I'm grateful I have a place, a roof, over my, it's very simple, because one thing I think that helps do is bring us to presence, which is like realizing your life is now. Everything is, it's happening right now. And so you can, a lot of times I've been guilty of this, of thinking so far into the future or thinking about the past, or, organizing, and we have all these ideas we want to do. But when I go to gratitude, it makes me look like, okay, what's going on? What can I be thankful for now? So that, and then just one that I think is important for now, especially with the and I'm definitely guilty of this, the overstimulation with social media and all of these tablets and apps and all of these things, is silence, silent time, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, every few days or every day will be great. 20 minutes, but just a time of silence, I think really, a lot of the answers and a lot of the things we're looking for is already, we know it, it's right there. It's just so much in the way, all the time. So I think that for me definitely helps me, especially even when going into these different environments, like we were talking about, where you have to be, if you're highly aware, and if you've been working and you've been meditating, or you've been focusing on your awareness, and then you can navigate these spaces easily, and then it just becomes a different type of situation. So I think silent time, quiet time for me has been really, really helpful and transformative in helping just navigate everything, and puts me also in a good state of flow, to where I'm less relying on my brain to power everything, and just going in that surrender kind of state. So yeah, those 2 things I think will be great to implement.
Thank you so much. Well, it's always great to see you, my friend.
Thank you, my
Let's
friend.
get together with your sister the next time
Oh
she's in
yes,
town.
I'm gonna tell her. I'm gonna call her right now. She's gonna be like, "What?" And then let me know when that sound stuff's coming out. I can't wait to check that out. It's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely will. My next season of Codex should be coming out. I think it's going to be coming. The first episodes are probably going to hit in a few weeks.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing. Congrats on that.
yeah.
That's sick. Let me know.
All right, my friend. So good to see you.
Absolutely.
And where can people find you?
Yeah, just check me out, Maejor, Maejor. So just everything, just type in Maejor, and you'll find me.
Epic. All right, my friend. Until next time on Think Tank, we'll see everybody then.
Peace.